There was a recent settlement between the federal government, well, the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, and Ripple. This came because of a lawsuit that the SEC filed because, well, the SEC can't keep from wanting to be meddling in business that is not theirs. They wanted the government to know how to, what sort of thing that cryptocurrency was when it came to their regulations. Well, number one, they shouldn't be regulating it, but it was ruled that it's a security. It just wasn't the kind of security that could be done on a secondary market. But it shows the length in which government constantly wants to be in control of everything, especially things that they should have no control over. Cryptocurrency is one of those things. And the other part of this is that I'm waiting for President Trump to start working towards getting the strategic reserve of five different cryptocurrencies. Now, mind you, one of those five currencies that he wants to put into this strategic reserve is XRP, which is connected to Ripple. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about Ripple here in a minute. But why do we need our tax dollars going into a strategic reserve of crypto coin? Okay, so what I figured out is that the five are these stable coins, but that's even sillier that they need to be touched. It basically you have a whole bunch of people in government who are wanting to do things with cryptocurrency that government should have nothing to do with. I could understand kind of what President Trump is trying to do, but I disagree with him. Am I saying that he's a bad president or anything like that because I disagree with him? No. I disagree with him on a matter. Big deal. I disagree with people all the time. I disagree with myself. So I'm not attacking President Trump on this. I just don't think it's a government. The redneck in me doesn't think that it's an appropriate thing for us to deal with. But we're going to talk about all this. So hit like and subscribe, and let's go.
Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
Okay, let's talk about this whole Ripple thing. What Ripple is a company that created a platform that banks and other financial institutions can use to transfer money between countries in a secure manner using cryptocurrency. In their case, they are using XRP. XRP and Ripple are two different things. One's a company, one's a tool of that company. Well, at the same time that they're doing this to make sure that they have money, they allow people to buy this so that it can be used for different things. Now, on top of the fact of that, I'm getting tired of hearing that, oh, well, cartels and criminals use cryptocurrency. Uh, so does normal people. Are you telling me since criminals go to the bathroom that we have to ban toilets now? I mean, it makes about as much sense. Hey, criminals breathe air. We need to monitor breathing. Cryptocurrency is a way to invest. It's a way to transfer securely different funds. It's all kinds of things. But what it is not is something that the government needs to touch. Yet they took Ripple to court. And yes, Ripple had to pay $100 and something million Basically, they were trying to save face because they were doing something that they should not have done. End of story. SEC thinks that they need to regulate something. Okay, I understand that, when it comes to institutional investors, fine. That doesn't need to be a traded thing. Honestly, I hope that's the case so it can keep BlackRock out of it. So you don't have ER or ESG garbage in that. Environmental, scientific, and government, or social and government. ESG standards are idiotic, no matter what, and BlackRock is propagating them. But that being said, all this lawsuit did was basically become a win for cryptocurrency. But at the same time, it also shows that the SEC is yet another government agency, just like the revenuers going after shine runners. They're interfering in something that they should have no business with. Just like shine makers out there, there are times that people should not be involved. You know, government being involved with everything and trying to regulate it. Well, as you as I've seen with, say, the peanut butter thing that happened a few years back. It's been about 10, 15 years, probably a little bit longer than that, where a bunch of peanut butter was bad. Well, if the regulators had done their job, oh, wait, they don't do their job. You want to know why they don't do their job? They can be paid off. Take a look at Bernie Madoff's story. He hit one of his daughters was married to an SEC regulator. They're so intertwined with these people they're supposedly regulating that nothing really happens. That's the problem. Because these crypto people are not in bed with the SEC, they're going to try to keep going after them until they're kissing the rear ends of the SEC. SEC is basically just another power trip organization, and they need to keep their hands off of it. But let's talk about this strategic reserve. Crypto is not something that government should get involved with. Period. As unless it's involved in a crime, there's no reason for them to get involved with it. And then you have President Trump coming into office, and he's going, "Oh, we need to create a strategic reserve." Much like we have a strategic reserve in oil, Canada has a strategic reserve in maple syrup. Yes, that is an honest to God thing. Look it up. Maple syrup strategic reserve. I thought it was a joke. It isn't. But crypto coins don't need any kind of strategic reserve. It's all online. It's digital. No, it's already its own industry. They know how to handle it. They've figured out how to handle it. Okay, so they're using stable coins. Now, stable coins, as I've explained earlier, is how it's a way to communicate financial information. Whenever you're talking about Wells Fargo, you go to a Wells Fargo place in your hometown, you give them money, you say, "Hey, I'm sending it to this person at this location," and then that person goes and collects the money from their location. Well, Wells Fargo is starting to use cryptocurrency as a way to transfer all of this. They're not using Bitcoin or anything like that. They're using their own stable coin. That stable coin transfers it with the least amount of headaches when it comes to currency uh, exchange. And also, it's a secure way of getting that money from point A to point B. Banks are starting to use this. That is what Ripple does. Ripple is a company that created a platform to do this using XRP as a stablecoin. Well, President Trump is wanting to have strategic reserve of these stablecoins. We don't need it. It's not a finite resource. Really, it isn't a finite resource. Take a look at it. People mine cryptocurrency all the time. They set up these fancy computers and it does whatever it needs to do to have more crypto. In other words, instead of it being a finite resource, it's an infinite resource. So we don't need the government having their hands in it. It's a waste of tax dollars. And, I haven't figured out why they want to have this, but you tell me on that one. I really want to hear what you have to say on this because it's tax dollars to have a reserve of an infinite resource. Hmm, that makes no sense to me. But, I'm just a dumb redneck. I grew up among rednecks. I have heard quite a few rednecks talking about how government interferes in what plants you grow and what you do with what plants you grow and how that has hurt farming in this country. Then you take a look at how much farmland was lost because those companies that made GMOs had the seeds of the plants that they genetically modified do what seeds do, transfer over, and they were able to steal land because of that, because these seeds ended up in other farmers' fields and it intermingled with the plants that they had. And the government said, oh, that's their property now because it has their patent pending or their patent protected plants. Moonshine. Why in the world we have to regulate moonshine? People are talking about, well, they make stuff that's bad for you. I hate to tell you this, government makes stuff that's bad for you. Every shine runner that I know that's going to be bringing shine to me or shine makers, you know, making that copper tubing and everything so they can make that good corn or potato concoction that they make. They're not wanting people to die from it. The people that make the stuff that'll hurt you don't actually know what they're doing. But most that make shine, they take great pride in what they're doing and they ain't trying to hurt you. But they enjoy watching you hurt when you take a sip without knowing that you can't handle that unless you're a little bit different. But let me tell you, government getting involved with crypto, here's something that doesn't need government regulation. Bitcoin is not something that I really care one way or the other about. I don't really care about XRP. I don't care about any of this other stable or any of these other coins. There is no reason that government should care. Now, will I invest? Not really. I have. I've not been fascinated with it. I've looked into it. It's technology. But government keeps getting involved with it, which is why started paying attention to it. I don't want to pay attention to it, but government's paying attention to it, which means they're going to screw it up. That's what government does. It screws things up. And we need to pay attention to what they're screwing up because it just makes things worse for all of us. But hey, that's the way things go with government. Thought I'd bring this up. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, Y'all have a good day now. Bye.